In a previous video I got the back end on its feet again. Now it's time to do the same in the front. Coming up. Just look at this, isn't it beautiful? All clean and painted and lekker. And you always think I've just been sitting on my ass. This is a one-man shop, I've got to do it all myself. So I had to spend a lot of time cleaning this up, wire brushing, cutting on and painting it. Takes time, eh? But here we are. So I've got my left side beam lying on the floor here. I've supported it with a jack on this side. I had to re-sleeve, if that's the right word, the hole on that side where the radius arm attaches. We stuck a new bush in there. Got my suspension beam back from Andre at Pro Toolmaker. He drilled this hole out, then turned me a bush that was press fitted in there, nice tight fit, ain't ever gonna come out. Maybe I should just zoom in. You can, if you look carefully, you can see the bush sitting right there. So no more slop and play in this part. Brand new bolt. It's gonna go through in there. Nice tight fit. You actually have to tap it in lightly with a hammer. Problem solved. Time to paint this fellow. I think it deserves a little bit more TLC now. I've already done his mate in the back. So yes, he's going to be as good as new, if not better. Or maybe it's a she. Who knows these things? So I'm now going to jack the beam up and then hopefully we can stick that bolt in. I did check out this rubber. It's still in good nick. I find that quite amazing. But it is what it is. So let's just jack this up into place and see if we can get the bolt in. So I got to line this up so I can get the bolt through there. And of course in real life it's never as simple as they make it out on these high dollar car shows. So you have to fiddle with it a little bit. I'm just using a punch here to try and line it up. I think we're almost there now. Almost. It's almost through now. I just got to twist the beam a little bit so it can go on the other hole. Should be there now. Orientation of this bolt hole is important because the other beam sits right here, so we need to make sure that the bolt head is this side. If it was the other way around and we had the bolt sticking out here with a nut here, it will foul the other beam. I-beam is in place. I've got the silver bolt on this side in and tightened. Next up, I've got to fit the radius arm with the bolt through here. I got my new bolt. Unfortunately, it's a little too long. In my part of the world, I couldn't find a bolt of exactly the right length. At least the diameter is right. Then of course I couldn't find the proper washers that I wanted. So I ended up making my own. Yeah, that's what you have to do out here. They were not made on a lathe or anything. Look at my plaster. Ouch. I didn't even have the right drill bit to cut the holes, right size. So I cut them out with the plasma cutter and then I just grinded them to size and used the die grinder to clean up the inside holes. It's not critical that they are perfectly round, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the radius arm is going to go over here. These things are stamped left and right. so at least you can't get that wrong. The bolt with my homemade washers, which is gonna go like so. And that should now just, if we can line this up. I think my trestle is in the way. Okay, let's try again. Line it up. Okay, the bolt's a nice tight fit. Just a spot of grease for what it's worth. Lekker, and my other homemade washer goes on here. And now we can tighten it. So maybe I should just explain what the deal is with my extra washers here. It's the freaking bolt that's a little bit too long. And now, like I said, I couldn't find a shorter version. But there was also this bracket that sat here, remember, for the front shock absorber, which I've taken out. So this is also acting to take up that space. But yeah, it will be good. Okay, I'm just going to leave it hand tight for now. I just want to get the back end in first. The rubber bushing goes on the back. I put a little bit of grease, rubber grease there as well. That's going in like that. And now we can stick it in its hole. Okay, let's give it a shot. I'll move this forward a bit. There we go. I'm just going to support the I-beam with a trestle here for now. Right, we can stick on the back rubber bush and the nut. Right, and now I can put the back rubber bushing in place. Again, I've just put in some red rubber grease. There we go. Just got to tighten up the nut with a spinner. I'm going to tighten this up now. Well, I just, for good measure, I'm just going to put in a little bit of Loctite here first, just to make sure. I think that will do it. Right, now we can tighten this fellow. A good grunt always helps. I reckon that will do it. Let's see. It feels good, man. Yes. My left wheel can suspense. You know what? If you can laugh at yourself, you will always have something to laugh at. Installing my newly shortened coil springs is quite straightforward. You can see a video about how I removed and shortened the springs if you follow the link on the screen. So the first step is to put a specially shaped washer over the bolt, and then the spring sits on top of that. And before I'm going to put the nut on, it's also got a special shaped washer that goes on top to hold the bottom end of the spring down. Before I fit the nut, you will see I've got the suspension supported, or the beam supported on a jack. So I'm now simply going to jack it up and get it into place so that it locates on the upper mount. So important to orientate it so that the end of the coil fits into the specially shaped recess here. I'm just going to feel in it, needs to turn it a little bit.
think we're there. And there we go, it's as simple as that. I've just got to fit the bottom nut, attach the little U-shaped bracket on the top, and the spring is in place. Here's the little U-bracket I'm referring to. So it holds the wire, or if I can say it like that, on the top side of the coil spring in place. It's going to fit from below with 2 bolts that go through these 2 holes. It's hard to get a camera shot underneath in here, but if you look carefully you can see the U-bracket sitting there loosely tightened now, holding the first coil of the spring. And then at the bottom there's a special cup-shaped washer. It's important to put it the right way around, like so. That goes in here over the bolt, and then a nut on top of that. There, that's roughly in place. Just gonna put some more weight on the spring now. Here we go, we can just tighten everything up now. My spring is installed. It's such a painless process to remove and install these springs. So once I've got all the weight on the truck, which is going to take a while, get the engine back in, transmission, bodywork, etc. And I'll settle it at its final ride height. Then if I want to shorten my spring a little bit more, it's so easy to just take it out and stick it back in. I haven't tightened all the bolts and nuts fully. It's just sort of semi-tight at the moment. I just first want everything to settle down a little bit before I tighten it completely. P.S. Somebody has to wash all these old parts as well. Brake discs, old tie rods. In case you didn't know, I'm the chief parts washer as well. And then the shop needs cleaning. I'm also the chief broom pusher. So yeah, somebody has to do this kind of stuff. It's me, and I'm sure you don't want me to bore you with that kind of cock. So I've got my other coil spring in place as well, which means I'm finished assembling my front suspension. Hey Oaks, thanks for watching. If you find some value, please hit that like button, man. Or better yet, subscribe. Then you'll get notifications of all this shit I get up to. I'll see you Oaks in the next one.